subscribers. Well, subscriber rate. Hit the fucking like button, subscribe button, knock your ass out, man. I ain't fucking with you, man.
We are back. We are back with another UFC Fight Night card at the Apex. Another weaker card this weekend, but there are a few sneaky fights here on paper, at least. Random main event, of course. Random main event, Lemos versus Andrage. Could be a good fight, but we will see what happens. I'll be breaking down the main card like usual, providing free picks, leans, and tell you what to stay away from, or at least what I'm staying away from and what I suggest you do as well. Before we get into all that, guys, follow me on Instagram. System Capping. Free picks in the stories. Weekly updates. You're going to get sports betting news, sports news in general, everything System Capping. You also can see all my client comments over the years. All my winning tickets are there. Also follow me on Twitter as well. I'm a little more active on Instagram, but same Twitter, System Capping as well. If you want my personal plays, guys, best bets in all sports, check out my website. Become a client today. I handicap 7 different sports. No one-hit wonder here. Some at lower volumes, of course, but go check over the site. Everything's there. You can check out my resume. You can check out free picks as well. Free picks section. We had a free pick last week with Lowry plus 130, top 20. Gave that on my website last week. Always giving out free winners there at the website, not just on the videos. Updated records are there as well. After every bet, I update my record there. I update it on Instagram. I update it weekly here as well. So check out for that. Remember, guys, 5% of handicappers profit long-term. The system is one of them. Quick recap from last week. Not a card I loved. I stressed it time and time again. I didn't like it from a betting standpoint, and it showed. I only had a small betting card last weekend for clients. We were on the Luque side. He did not get it done. Respect to Bilal Muhammad. There's value there at plus 150, sure. I just didn't think he was going to be as effective on the feet. Very effective, good movement. He was able to put those demons away when he got knocked out back in 2015, 2016. Luque, both different fighters, which I did stress. But I really didn't love Luque. I thought he could get it done or should get it done. But not a fight I love from a betting standpoint. And just in general on the card, I did not like the card. No profit last week on the card. This card I do like a little more. I will have a few more client plays sent out to my guys. We also learned by Miguel Baez. He's not that prospect that we thought. He had a couple step-ups in fights. He failed in those step-ups. And I thought this was a good bounce-back spot for him. It wasn't a good bounce-back spot for him. He showed his chin is not as good as it has to be. If you want to make a run or be active, be an active fighter or a top-level fighter in this division, his chin's not good enough. So he'll be off my radar moving forward. But yeah, overall, in general, not a card that I liked. Weekly update, guys. Weekly update. Client run. It's still very impressive. 75% all fights, guys. 32-11. 32-11, and longer term, which matters more, 88 and 47 longer term, 66%, guys, 66% longer term, over 52 units in profit. PGA plus 69 units, prop market, 66% best bets, and that's long term, and 43 and 28 in matchups overall. We did get screwed last week. Slight loss in profit on the prop market, but we had Morikawa. This is one of my bad beats of the year. He was T7 going into the 17th hole. I had him T20 as my best bet for the weekend. T20, and he's 7th. So all he needed to do is par, but he birdied the 18th. So it would have been guaranteed, top 10 guaranteed. He triple bogeyed the 17th. I don't even remember the last time Morikawa triple bogeyed the 17th. And it wasn't even like he went into the water. He didn't land in the water. It was just in a bunker shot, easy sand play. And then he launched it across the green into like a hazard area. It was unbelievable. It looked like it was almost like planned or something. Like it was crazy. That's something I would do if I was in the bunker. I probably wouldn't even do that bad, to be honest. I wouldn't have hit it into the hazard. Would I hit it on the green? I don't know. But it wouldn't have been where Morikawa ended up. So that was pretty wild. You never know in golf. Big card this weekend, though. Hopefully get back on track in the PGA. MLB. A 10-1 start, guys, in the MLB season. This is a great start. Every handicapper's dream, especially in MLB for me personally. I'm not a huge volume MLB guy. They usually do make a two-team parlay, or I'll look for some value. I never lay on a straight bet juice in an MLB game. Obviously, a two-team parlay, sure. If I get two teams at plus money, I'll do it every day. But 10-1 start for me is very important. If I got off to a slower start in MLB, I probably wouldn't have focused on that much. Like I said, guys, I focus on 6-7 different sports. So very happy to get a good start there. NBA, just bear with me, guys. NBA winner the other night with Memphis. I didn't think they were going to lose back-to-back at home, so we got them in a nice two-teamer. Just 1-2 in the playoffs right now, but good news, solid regular season record at 66% winning percentage, guys. One of the higher ones in the market. So 66% winning percentage in the NBA. Very happy with that in the regular season. Playoffs will be profitable, just need a little more time. NHL, guys. NHL, 21-9 NHL run right now to end the season. Regular season is almost done here in the NHL. 67% on the year in the NHL, guys. That beats my 65%. Now, this is lower volume. A lot lower volume and lower units. Last year, a lot higher volume and a higher units. We were at 65% winning percentage, but our units were a lot higher. This was mainly due to two-team parlays. There were a lot of two-team parlays fits. Again, NHL lines are crazy in the NHL. So, yeah, another good season there. Profitable season in all sports. And let's do an NFL reminder here. Some of them adding this week, guys. I don't do it all the time. I'm not going to bore you every time. I just want to do a recent highlights from the past year. In case you don't check out my website, systemsportsacademy.com, where you can see these highlights. Here's a quick post on them. Some highlights from this year. UFC run, 24-3. UFC run. That was one of the better ones I've had of all time. Rams outright, plus 1,200, which we just saw in the graphic. Euro Cup winner, Italy, plus 1,100. 10 plus money winners in 3 days, which is a system capping record. Braves outright, plus 1,000. And a bunch of golf outrights, as you can see. If you don't believe me for some reason, all the tickets are saved on Instagram, so go check it out over there. Just some betting advice, keyword for betting advice here, guys. I'm not going to get into the detail. A keyword this week, I'm going to do a keyword each week. Discipline. Have discipline when making your bets and betting on sports. Let's hear from my friend Meredith before we get into this card.
Guys, Meredith Gorman here, and are you still not subscribed to Matt's channel? Well, if you're not, hit the subscribe button because he's giving out free picks each and every week. Hope you have a good rest of your day.
All right, guys, let's get into this main card time. Shop around. You know what I like to say. Shop around for the best price, because this is not the best price. This is just a graphic price here. Lines do vary, so I can't stress it enough, guys. Have multiple books. Don't just have one book. I have 5-6 different books in different countries. Have multiple books. Lemos plus 160 versus Andrage minus 190. A random main event, like I mentioned at the top of this video. Definitely probably up there for one of the worst main events on paper. Paper, I mentioned. I stress paper because, you never know. Sometimes when the fight's on paper, not the best or a pleasing looking, the fights turn out to be bangers. You never know. This could be a good brawl. Good fight. You never know. We know the story here, right? Lemos looking good as of late. After losing her debut back in 2017, she hasn't lost a fight. She has 5 wins in a row, Lemos. from what I'm seeing here on Sherdog. And, let's look at those victories, though, quickly. Let's hold our horses. Let's look at the victories. Granger, not in the UFC anymore. Aniu, I don't even know who that is. Souza, the gangster, just hasn't really cut it in the UFC. I think she's still in the UFC, but she's getting lower level fights. Ruiz, the submission artist, terrible everywhere else. And then her toughest test she passed, but some say she lost that fight against Angela Hill. It was a close fight. I think it was 50-50 split, but she ended up winning the fight in a close split decision win. This is a huge step up for her. Huge step up for her, and could it be too soon is my question here. Andrage has fought the best of the best and has only lost to the best girls, right? If you look at her resume, it's very impressive. Valentina she lost to, Thug Rose, Wang, and Joanna. That was a little while back, the Joanna win. She also does have some huge wins, though, right? It's not like she's just losing to girls and she's beating trash cans. She beat Angela Hill. She beat Claudia Gadella. Tisha Torres, always a tough out. And she did beat Thug Rose as well, right? Don't forget that. Kaiten Chuchiagian is a very tough fighter. Very tough fighter. Very tough to figure out. And her last time, she dominated Calvillo. So she has some big wins, a lot more experience in the cage. I do agree with the price here. I thought it would be a little higher. Minus 250 range, so I do see some value here. I was on Andrage in that fight against Calvillo, and the only way I could look here, due to that experience and from what I've saw in that Hill fight with Lemos, it would have to be the Andrage way. One note here, Andrage is going down in weight, so the weight cut is something you want to watch here. She fights 135, 125. Sometimes she can struggle getting down to 125. I don't think it's going to be an issue here. I do think she loves fighting here at 125. So we'll watch that. Watch that on the weigh-ins maybe before pulling the trigger. Andrage, we know she has the wrestling advantage here. And when the woman does have the wrestling advantage, I tend to look there first and see if the bet makes sense. But it's always a great starting point in women's MMA if you have a wrestling advantage as a woman. I think the striking, I think Lemos is maybe more sharper, but Andrage has those big heavy hooks. She has some power in her hands, but I think Lemos is more technical and probably a more crisper striker. But I think Andrage does have the striking ability. She comes in a little more wild and maybe less technique, but is still impressive with her striking. I thought Andrage, like I mentioned, maybe a little higher, minus 125, 250 here, but we're getting a minus 190. I think there's some value there. I haven't pulled the trigger yet. I am going to wait for the weigh-ins. I do suggest you do that, but it looks like Andrage is going to make my card in some way. Remember, this is a 5-round fight. Do you think it's going to go all 5 rounds? Tough to say. I would lean no. So I would maybe see a finish here and not to go all 5 rounds, but I do think Andrage does get the victory here, and she continues looking for another title shot. Co-main event, another random one. Guida. Yes, Clay, the Carpenter. Guida is back, minus 105 versus Puelles, minus 115. Minus 115. I think it's about even now, minus 110 around the books, but shop around. Interesting one here, right? Classic. Older fighter versus younger. I'm not going to say Puelles doesn't have a ton of experience. He has some experience for being only 25. Does have 5 fights in the UFC. And is on a 4-fight win streak. So that's something to mention here. Guida should have some success in this fight with the takedown and the wrestling. We know Guida can wrestle, but also has improved in the striking department, guys. He has improved in the striking department. Puelles continues to get taken down in his fights. If you look back at his fights, he gets taken down in all of his fights, and against guys that aren't really wrestlers. They're not known for their wrestling. So that's definitely something to take a look at here. I think Guida's path would be able to just grind him out, get him down to the ground, and just grind him against the cage. What he always does, right? There's no secret on what Clay Guida does. Puelles, he does have obviously the youth experience here. He has the youth advantage here. And out of his 4 fights, he does have 2 submissions. They are knee bars, surprisingly, out of the 2. So it looks like he does specialize in those. But if this does get to the ground, look for Puelles to try to, get a submission against Guida. Look for him to try to pull something off the ground. He's not going to just lay there. But it's a very tough fight to bet. It's a coin flip. I'll lean with the younger fighter, but I'd never have success betting against Guida, and I won't here. So I won't make my betting card for clients this weekend, but I lean to the younger fighter here just for the video. Romanov minus 1,400. Yes, minus 1,400 versus Sherman plus 850. Last time I saw minus 1,400 was a Valentina fight. A Valentina Shevchenko fight, and we see another one here. I get it. 15-0 for a reason. And in comes Sherman, who was just cut last week. Bozer had to drop out of the fight, and who saves the day? Sherman, who just got cut. So wild week for Sherman, but respects for him to taking the fight against a monster like this. You know, nothing to lose here in this fight. I don't think Romanov's going to just stand. I think he's just going to bring it to the ground and probably get a TKO finish. You can't bet this minus 1,400. If you want to get creative, maybe look to bet the first round finish. You can maybe get that at plus money. If it is, it's probably low plus money. I haven't looked at it yet. This line just came out maybe half an hour ago, guys. So look in that path. This fight is not going 3 rounds. I can guarantee that. If it does, I'd be shocked. But yeah, Romanov should get some sort of TKO finish, ground and pound finish, either in round 1, maybe round 2. Yeah, value there if you want to bet it. You can't bet it at minus 1,400. Next fight here. Bear with me. Barber. Yes, Macy Barber's back minus 175 versus De La Rosa plus 150. This one should be a good one. I do think the right girl in Barber is favored here. She's coming off a big win versus Miranda Maverick. If you remember that. It was a close fight and a split decision, but I think she did enough and got a good bounce-back win for her after the back-to-back loss versus Grosso and Roxanne, right? Barber was on a roll before that injury, if you remember. The Roxanne fight, she got hurt. She lost that fight, and then Grosso was tough fight to return, right? She returned to Grosso, and Grosso just pieced her up on the feet. Grosso's a very good boxer and very high on Grosso. With De La Rosa, she's very up and down, right? She's a good wrestler. We know that. And is coming off a TKO finish versus Ariana Lipski, who's more of just a pure striker with no wrestling. So De La Rosa was able to attack that. You know, it was a good matchup for Rosa in that fight. I don't think this is a great matchup for her. I don't think she's going to be able to dominate with her wrestling and grappling. I think Barber has some solid wrestling as well. So I don't think De La Rosa is just going to be able to dominate there. And she's not a great striker. Better, yes. De La Rosa has improved her striking from the last 2 fights that I watched on tape. But I give Barber the advantage in the striking department. And I just don't think De La Rosa is going to be able to dominate Barber in the wrestling. So yeah, I like Barber here. Again, I thought it may be a little higher. Am I going to bet Barber straight up at minus 175? No, it's a women MMA's fight, and it's not a clear-cut win for Barber. So maybe look at the decision prop, get that at plus money, or maybe add Barber to a 2-fight parlay if you guys do those. Next fight here, the Chinese fighter's back. Muruzari plus 155 versus Kopp. Minus 180. This should be a fun one. Flyweight guys, right? Moving quick, throwing a ton of strikes. Ton of strikes, though. That's what Kopp needs to do to be successful. And that's what he didn't do in his first 2 fights. The last 2 fights he did. So if Kopp throws volume, he could be a very dangerous guy in this division and a player in this division. Right, both guys on small win streaks over some mid-level guys. Kopp, he had a lot of hype signing with the UFC, but didn't start good, losing his first 2 fights to Pantoja and Nicola. Now, yikes, that toughest debut 2 fights probably ever. You throw him with Pantoja, a top 3, top 5 guy, and then Nicola is also a top 10 guy. So you're throwing him to the wolves. And he didn't pass the test, but he has passed the test his last 2 fights with first-round finishes in both those fights, guys. Both those fights, first-round finishes, one with a spectacular flying knee finish against more mid-tier guys. But, I don't think the Chinese fighter's that great of a guy. He's good on his feet, but I think Kopp's path would be actually take us down to the fight and use his black belt in BJJ. I think that would be his path here. I think that's what he should do to beat the Chinese fighter here. I think the Chinese fighter is good on his feet. He has some striking, but Kopp can obviously stand with him. It's just, if this fight goes 3 rounds on the feet, the Chinese fighter has a shot to win it by decision. just because the volume issue with Cobb. But if Cobb comes out, throws a lot, mixes in some grappling and wrestling, he wins this fight. So I like Cobb here. Don't love the price again. Good 2 parlay piece. He could get a submission. Maybe you want to look at a little submission prop if you guys do have that on your books. I don't know if this fight will go all 3, to be honest. So I would not play a decision on Cobb here. Lean maybe if you can get like plus 300, 400 on a submission prop, maybe a little unit play here and maybe cap in a 2-fight parlay. Great way to open up the main card here, guys. Venata plus 105 versus Jourdain minus 125. I think it's a little value here on Venata if you want to play him. You know, it should be a fun one to open up the main card. Maybe fight of the night possibility. Could be a slugfest. Both guys land at a high rate and do have some power behind them. You know, I would lean Venata here, definitely in the wrestling and grappling department. I do think that's his path to victory here. The question is he going to go down that route, or is he going to want to make it a fun fight and stand on the feet? You can't judge that. You don't know that. I don't know that. Nobody knows that. And maybe he doesn't even know that, because when you're in the fight, sometimes your second option will come in, right? Maybe your third option will come in. So I don't think anyone really knows if he's going to wrestle. I just think watching tape and knowing both guys, I think that's Veneta's path to victory. His path to victory would be to take Jourdain down, right? And wrestle, grapple, make it ugly. If it's a stand-up war for 3 rounds, it's a coin flip, right? Anyone wins the fight. I can't tell you who would win that fight. But if Veneta listens to me and my game plan, wrestle, get it to the ground, I think he has the advantage there, and I think he wins the fight. So out of all the fights on the main card here, Veneta would be my favorite underdog, plus 105, and then probably Guida. But I think that fight's, you know, more 110 now. But if you can get Guida minus 105 or plus 105, 110, there's definitely value there with Guida. But Veneta, I lean him at plus 105. I don't know if I'll bet it, but it's going to be my underdog bet on this card here for the main card. That will do it, guys. That will do it for this card. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully you learn if you decide to follow the picks. Definitely good luck. Best of luck. Check out the website if you want all my sports bets. We're hot in all sports. We profit all sports every year. Come on board and join the train. That will do it, guys. Like I always say, bet smart and know your limits. Take care.